So, what can we learn from the Fannita situation? If you're new here, my name is Micah. I have over 1 million followers here on TikTok and close to 4 mil, probably all in across all platforms. I make lifestyle content and I used to be an employment attorney. I don't usually do content like this, but since this issue is all over my FYP, I thought I would provide a unique perspective from someone with my background and also someone of my age. I'm 40 years old. Mother has lived. Consider me your TikTok big sister, your TikTok auntie. And I just think that there's a lot that's being lost in this discourse. And I had to chime in. So one of the issues that Fannita initially raised, which is completely valid, is that there are pay disparities among what Black women are paid versus everyone else. This is true not just in content creation, but basically in all of society. As an employment attorney, I would advise companies, clients on these issues. We would have to dive into the literature. Across the board, Black women are the lowest paid. It is unfortunate. It is unfair. Life, unfortunately, is very unfair, especially as a Black woman. Having said that, you have to go about everything that you do in society and in your life very strategically. I have Invisalign in, so if I sound crazy, that's why. I'm sorry. You have to go about everything very strategically, which brings me to my second point. So, point two is about making content strategically. Fannita seemed to express frustration with the opportunities that she's been given. And that's totally understandable. I think a lot of people, when they make content, this is just from my limited experience. I've been making content for brands for about 2 years now. They go about it kind of haphazardly rather than strategically. So when I stopped practicing law and decided to jump full into content 2 years ago, I made a decision. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me take a step back. What I was going to say is I made a decision to go into lifestyle content. But before doing that, I did an analysis of what I thought would be the most profitable niches for my interests, right? So I like to cook. I like to clean. I love DIYs. I looked at those niches. I looked at some of the big creators in those spaces, the kind of brand deals that we're getting. And I was like, okay, this could be something that I could do. And then I made content to go along with that niche. And I only made content to go along with that niche. In fact, I don't usually sit and talk to the camera, do stuff like this, right? But I just feel compelled to share my experiences because I feel like a lot of women are getting really, really discouraged. And you really don't need to be getting discouraged, okay? This is one of the best places to gain your independence, to make money, to be your own boss. I love making content so much more than I loved being an attorney. I can be with my kids and, the sky is the limit. I have nobody holding me down, right? I've lost my train of thought. It's because I'm 40 years old. Anyway, be very strategic. And once you have decided what niche you're going to be in, my recommendation would be to only make content only make content that lines up with that niche, okay? Only focus on that niche. If you're having a bad day, you need to rant, you want to get something off your chest, the internet is not the place to be doing that. Think of the internet as a workplace, especially if you want to make money here. If you want to make money on the internet in any capacity, it's your workplace, which means everything that you do is going to go into your personal file and you're going to be judged on that. You're going to be judged on future opportunities. You never know who's watching you. I've had brands approach me and say, these are like individuals who work within the companies who make the decisions. They said, we've been following you for a while. We love your content. That means they've been lurking in the shadows. And if I decided one day to just go on a binge and just rant, I could have missed out on opportunities that I would not even know were there. So I would just recommend to just keep all the negativity or anything that you got going on off the internet if you intend to make money on the internet, because your digital footprint lasts forever. Even if you delete it, it lasts forever. And as someone of my age, like, we didn't grow up with the internet like this. So many of us are very, apprehensive, and we don't typically overshare for that reason. But if you're younger, just be very mindful of that. You're starting out young. You're 20 years old. You could put something on the internet that could affect you for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Even in your employment, right? When I was advising clients, HR clients, they would often go and look up people's social media before making a hiring decision. That's totally lawful, by the way. So just be very careful about what you put on the internet and be very strategic about the content that you make. That brings me to my third point. Okay, so for my third point, I think there's been some discussion about whether or not there are opportunities for Black women, whether or not Black women are getting brand deals and all things of this nature. And I'm here to tell you that there are so many Black women that are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars making content, all over social media. You may not be seeing them. They may not be in your FYP. They may not be necessarily in the beauty space, which I think is where a lot of people are mostly attracted to. But in the lifestyle niche and the DIY niche, home decor, These women are getting a bag, okay? There are so many opportunities for Black women. The bigger question is, who is in your audience? That is what brands are looking at. Brands have so much information about your audience, much more than you have access to. They know the socioeconomic status of your audience, the marital status, their age ranges, and they have it down to a science in terms of who their target, consumer is. So they're going to pair the content creator with a certain audience, right, with the consumer, and then the brand is going to say, this is a perfect match for us. You could have 10 million followers, but if they're all like, teenage boys, that might not be the target audience for, let's say, a cleaning products brand, right? So when you're making content, think in mind, who's this content for, and is this content for an audience that a brand would find attractive? The last bit of advice that I would leave you with is that I would not criticize a fellow content creator or a brand for that matter, especially if you're just coming up, like if you're starting out in your content creator journey. Why do I say a fellow content creator? It kind of goes without saying, like, you just gain nothing by insulting people. You look pressed, and you could be having a one-sided beef that other person knows nothing about. In terms of criticizing brands, most of the major brands, consumer products that we regularly see are all owned probably by the same like 5 to 10 companies. You might want to criticize, let's say, makeup company A. You don't like their lipstick, you don't like this, you don't like that. Well, they could be owned by the same parent company of makeup company B. Makeup company B is who you do want to get brand deals by, right? But by you insulting A, you've also unknowingly offended B, which means you might not be getting any brand deals at all from either company ever, because again, we're talking about the digital footprint. I just don't see how it's helpful, personally. Again, if the goal is to make money on the internet and to, give yourself some financial freedom, I don't think it's helpful. They are probably also owned by the same shareholders. They might share a board of directors. Like, in terms of the corporate structure in America, most of our stuff is all owned by like the same like 5 entities, right? Families. So it really doesn't help you by insulting them. You could just be basically damaging future business opportunities. I think that's all I have to share. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know what you guys think. If you want more chit chats like this, I don't usually do this, but like I said, I just want to be helpful and be encouraging. I used to be a single mother on food stamps. I used to be broke. It is possible to have the life that you've dreamed of. And I just don't want you guys to be discouraged. So that's all for now.